A Canadian small business group is calling on the federal and provincial governments to temporarily eliminate or lower fuel taxes. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says record gas prices, supply chains, entanglements, and labor shortages have pushed the cost of doing business through the roof. It says higher transportation and fuel costs have driven 92% of small businesses to increase prices in the past year. For more on this, along with other requests to governments amid the Council of the Federation's summer meeting, we are joined by CFIB's Vice President of National Affairs, Jasmin Guenette. Mr. Guenette, thank you for being back with us on Forum Daily.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The CFIB is asking governments for fuel tax relief. Why is this important to your members?
Right now, fuel and energy are the top concern for small business owner. It's the major cost constraints that all small businesses are facing, and why we are asking the federal government and provincial governments to reduce a fuel tax to help small businesses deal with the increased cost of doing business, especially regarding fuel and energy costs.
Besides fuel, what are some other requests you hope governments consider for your members?
Yes. Well, first is to find solution to help small businesses deal with the increased cost of doing business. So, for example, reducing payroll taxes, reducing the carbon tax, lowering the small business tax rate. All this to help businesses deal with inflation costs. Put in place policies to find a solution and ease the current shortages of labor. As you know, all businesses in all sectors across the country are having difficulties hiring employees, and so shortages of labor is quite an important issue right now. And we're asking also for COVID-related debt relief. With 2 years of lockdowns, many small businesses are facing a huge amount in COVID-related debt.
In a recent press release, you are asking for governments to address internal trade barriers. What is the cost of these barriers to the economy?
Yeah, good question. A few years ago, the CFIB and other organizations estimated the cost of interprovincial barriers at around $14 billion. So that's a huge number. It represents time and money for a business owner to comply with different rules, sometimes conflicting rules from one province to another, from one province to a territory. And so it's quite expensive for small businesses, and it's quite costly for the entire economy.
The economy has continued to emerge out of the COVID-19 pandemic. What are the major concerns for your members as the recovery continues?
Well, as I mentioned, the increased cost of doing business, every single budget line of a small business is increasing. And so there's got to be policies helping small businesses to deal with that. As I mentioned, shortages of labor. We see signs out there almost on every storefront. So shortages of labor, cost of doing business. Supply chain disruption is another major issue facing small businesses. As I mentioned as well, COVID-related debt. And so as we move out of the pandemic, I think the policies that are put in place should be helping businesses to cope with the current inflation that we are all facing.
Thank you so much for your time today on Forum Daily.
My pleasure.